Good afternoon, I'm Julie Youngquist. I'm here with A. Allen, and you are on TV with Streetwise Live for the next 25 minutes on CanTV 21. We are also streaming live on cantv.org/hotline, and you can also join the conversation by calling 312-738-1060. That number is also on the screen. Today, we will be talking about what it's like to be a Streetwise vendor. Last week, we celebrated #Vendor Week, an international celebration of more than 9,000 street paper vendors around the world. We will see what it's like to be a vendor at the Big Issue in London, talk with A. Allen and creative director and publisher of Streetwise magazine, Dave Hamilton, about their experiences selling Streetwise. To get started, like we do each week, here's a bit about Streetwise. Streetwise started in 1992, over 25 years ago, as a way to help homeless and those at risk of homelessness earn an income with dignity. Each day, Streetwise magazine vendors sell our publication seeking a hand up. There are no requirements other than motivation to earn money, and maybe, what did we decide? Counting. We do orientation for new vendors every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. at our headquarters at 4554 North Broadway, off the Red Line at Broadway and Wilson. After orientation and training, each new vendor receives a temporary badge and 15 free magazines to get started. For more information, you can visit our website, www.streetwise.org, or call 773-334-6600. So, we're going to kick off this segment, Alan, this week on what it's like to be a Streetwise vendor. We're actually going to start with a short video that shows kind of a day in the life of a number of our own Streetwise vendors. Okay. So here we go.
Here we go.
When you see me in the street, what do you see? Do you see someone who rises before the sun every morning to catch the L at 95th and the Dan Ryan, headed towards the Ogilvy station to get the train to Glencoe, just in time for the morning rush? Do you see the long day ahead of me, my struggles, what I go through? Standing in the rain, under the sun, against the wind, or covered with snow. Many hours filled with rejections. Do you see my hand stretched out with a magazine, which I bought for 90 cents and sold to you for $2? When you see me on the street, what do you see? Do you see my smile that greets you? Hoping to demonstrate what I've learned about selling from mentors who believe in my potential. Do you see my confidence strengthen from having access to food, shelter, and clothing, restoring my dignity and self-respect? Do you see my dream for a new journey? An opportunity for transitioning to a career where I can learn new skills and grow? Can you imagine what would happen if you took a chance and hired me? I know you will feel my gratitude. And I know you feel my hope that more people will get the same care and respect that I found at Streetwise, that showed me the way to this place and this moment, so you can see me and know me and believe in what I can become.
All right. Man, every time I watch that video, I am just reminded about the commitment and drive of every vendor who's looking to make a difference in their lives. And they're not doing it alone, though. They're part of this international, or they're part of this broader community here in the city, across the nation, and around the world. Each and every one of our vendors and the whole Streetwise organization is part of this international movement through the International Network of Street Papers. Around the world, there's 9,000 street paper vendors working for 115 papers in 34 countries, and we are all part of that amazing community. So last week was hashtag Vendor Week. We had a special edition of the magazine and went out and had our own celebration of Streetwise vendors, but we thought we would like to show everyone kind of what other countries were doing. So we're going to show you what the big issue in the UK did to celebrate Vendor Week.
Vendor Week is a really good, important thing. It comes at a time coming out of Christmas when it's good to remind people why the big issue is here. It's wonderful for publicity. It's very humbling that so many great and interesting people get involved. And then they go away and they tell the story of how the big issue works, how vendors buy, how they sell, how it's vitally important that people take it. They found how difficult a job it is for vendors every day, every week. This week in different cities across Britain, the weather's been pretty good. It's not warm, but it's not raining, so it's good selling conditions. But even then, they find how hard it is, and that really is the message that we like to tell, and we like to tell again. It's a hard job. It's a really, really hard job, and the vendors do it every day. They get up, they go buy their magazine, they go sell their magazine, and the public support them, and we want them to carry on supporting them. Buy the magazine, take it home, read it, come back the next week. That's our message.
All right, so Alan is here in the studio. We just saw a little bit of how they do Vendor Week in London. Let's see how they do it. So some of the things that the gentleman was talking about is, selling the street paper in London is like offering a hand up, that vendors have to go out and be there every day, that it's a hard job. Does that sound familiar?
A little bit, yeah, somewhat. Because in the beginning it is hard. But if you're consistent and persistent with it, it becomes easier and easier every day.
So you've been a vendor now for 5 years?
Going on 6.
Going on 6 years. So you were like every other vendor who walks through the door the first time, right? You have to come in, you have to be trained, orientation. What did that feel like when you first came through the Streetwise doors?
Well, I can understand the way the staff felt when they went out with us selling the papers, because the first day is probably the hardest day. The first day you like being introduced and you being like shut down by people with the rude looks and the nose and just walking away and ignoring you. And that's something that you have to really overcome, the part to accept no. Once you can get over that part and accept no and still continue on and be joyful, knowing that it's coming, knowing that it's coming eventually, then you pretty well got it lit.
How did you get to day 2?
Day 2, I think day 2 was basically you have some rude people, then you have some very kind people. You have encouraging people, and I think it's because of the people that encourage me. They encourage me with the smiles, with the you doing a good job, with the tips, with the buying of papers. Each time you sell a paper, that's encouragement. Each time you get a tip, that's encouragement. Each time you get a smile or a conversation, that's encouragement.
Excellent. So how long did it really take you to develop your location, develop your spot, right? So you come in your first day, you get training, you get orientation, you get a badge and 15 free magazines and go out to your spot and have to find the courage to go back that next day. How did you get to a point where you're now almost 6 years, you've got your regular customers, you know right when they're going to be there? Like, how does that work?
Okay, well, basically, like I said, the encouragement comes from various sources of tips, smile, conversations, of selling papers. And for me, for the first time, it was the tips, okay, because I was looking at the papers. I started out with 15, and I had 10 in my bag, I had 5 in my hand. And I was selling papers, and I thought I was just selling 1 per hour. That's what I thought I was selling, 1 paper per hour. And I was discouraged. I was like, this is not working for me. I'm out here selling papers, 1 paper per hour. You know, that's not working for me.
Right.
But when I got home, Judy, that was the amazing thing. When I got home, you know, I had a pocket full of money. So when I got home, you know, I discovered I worked like 2 hours and I sold 2 papers. But when I got home, I had like, well, $32. So that's like, I averaged it out. That's $16 an hour. You know, so that was a lot of encouragement for me, right? You know, to start out, so that encouraged me to go out to the second day. You know, like I say, it was encouragement from the people, the sales, the tips, you know, the smiles, the conversation. So I said, I'd give it another try. And then, giving it another try, it even worked out better the next day. And then it seemed as if every day got better for me.
So one thing that you've touched on just in that is that every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Every day we do it.
And that's one of the things that you, as one of our field supervisors and trainers do, is talk to new vendors about what can make them successful. And I hear consistency a lot. What are some of the other words of wisdom that you give new vendors coming in or current vendors who are struggling a little bit with their sales or their location?
Be there. First of all, you got to be there in order to make a sale. You know, if you're not there, you can't make a sale, right? So being there and being there consistent, you know, because once a customer get to know you as a vendor, they be like, this is my vendor. You know, they actually adopt you as their very own vendor. They won't buy from anyone else. They'll be faithful to you. And so when they come and approach your site, like whether they're going to work, coming from work, going to lunch or whatever, when they come and approach your site, they have their money in their hand. They let you know that, hey, they're looking for you to be there, right? And so if you're there, you give them the paper and you collect the money. You know, that's once you establish your location, you know, and establish a rapport with your customers, you know. They know you're going to be there and you know they're going to be there. So you have like a established relationship, not only an established relationship, but you have a base of income, you know. You can kind of figure out what you're going to do with your money, you know. If you have a consistent base, or you have a consistent income, or you have a consistent clientele, you can pretty much manage your money and know that you have to go back and buy some more papers. As my mentor Russell Adams said, we are entrepreneurs. We are entrepreneurs, and this is what we do. You know, we invest in ourselves, you know, and we invest into people. People invest into us, you know. It's a people thing. It's a people network thing.
Right. So one thing about that entrepreneur thing that people don't always understand is that you set your own hours, you set your own schedule, you decide how many magazines that you're going to, you know, your inventory for the week. And I mean, you're really working for yourself, right?
Really working for yourself. And one of the things I like to emphasize to people that's fresh and new, set goals, have goals, you know. Say, for instance, if you're new coming on the force and you go out for the first day, say, I'm going to give it a good try, right? And say, well, I got 15 papers. I'm going to at least try to sell these 15 papers, or whatever goal you may be reaching for, you know. It could be monetary, whereas you say, well, I'm going to make so-and-so amount of money this day, okay? But whatever you do, set a goal and have something that you're aiming at, you know. I found that to be effective, too.
Well, that's great, Alan. Thank you so much for once again coming into the studio here at CAN TV. Before we get started on the next segment, I want to remind you that you're watching Streetwise Live on CAN TV. I put our website up here. I mentioned it earlier, streetwise.org. We are continuing our discussion today about Vendor Week and how we celebrated. You know, Alan had mentioned a moment ago that we had some of the staff and vendors out selling the magazine. So I was going to just show a quick movie of Alan.
How about Streetwise, man? Hey, how you doing? Streetwise! Streetwise International Weekend. Read on about that
Anymore. Well, we had a good movie of Dave, who is now joined us here in the studio. Dave Hamilton is our creative director and publisher.
Hello.
Dave, you were outside selling magazines last Wednesday. I'm sorry the audience did not get the benefit of your
just
video.
have to take our word for it. I was there, I swear. And
how was it? What was your experience like?
Well, okay, so you know, it was a really great turnout. We had you know, all the staff and a couple of volunteers, and a couple of vendors all come out. And we just got together, and we like kind of had like a little pre-game like pump up. We were like, yeah, let's go out there and sell this magazine. And then we kind of splintered off into groups, and I got to take one of our interns and one of our volunteers, along with vendor, his name's Donald Morris, who's been with us for a very long time. Like 13 years?
I think
something like that?
Almost, yeah.
And I actually know Donald from before I even started working at Streetwise. He was my vendor before. But, so we like headed out, and we kind of split up and kind of overtook a corner downtown. And we were selling and giving away stickers too.
Oh, right.
And so we were selling, and it's surreal. This is the second time I've done it, and it's kind of the same results as last time. I couldn't sell a paper. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I feel unapproachable. I know there's a lot of different people. There's a lot of reasons that people react the way they do. And I think that even back in the day, I might have been guilty of it too. But when you see somebody, peddling or selling something, you kind of, it's like head down. It's like that very big city mentality.
Right.
And that was for sure happening to me while I was selling this Wednesday. I do have to say, and the prior times that I've sold, I've gotten some like evil stares and stuff. This time, I did not get any. So at least I wasn't
improving.
Scared. Yeah, so I am moving up. But I think that doing this and being able to sell and being able to take our customers out like that, it really, really shows what vendors have to go through on a regular basis.
Right.
And it really, really makes me so appreciative of the work they do, because, it takes a lot of work to build yourself up. And I think that it might be something that some people get to take for granted. And even myself, I've had very tough moments in my life where I've had to build myself back up. And I feel like with the vendors, what they're going through, it's a feeling, it's a reaction I can relate to. And to see them do it to like an extreme that puts my own, times of unemployment and times of family health scares and stuff like that, these problems that like kind of break us down, and to see all of our vendors come together and like support each other and then go out there and like seriously take control.
Right.
It's so inspiring.
It's an incredibly humbling experience.
Oh, for sure.
And
that's the word.
Again, just the respect for the vendors who are succeeding and what it takes to succeed, because it is a difficult job, but it's working well for the right people.
Yes, and it's so inspiring to see the vendors do a good job.
It is, and as we continue our kind of recap of #Vendor Week, we have this short video from our big friends, for real this time, from our friends at the Big Issue in Australia.
I'm the editor of the Big Issue magazine. This is one of our most exciting editions of the year. It's Vendor Week, so we're celebrating our vendors, the people who sell you the magazine on the streets all around Australia, like Stephen and also Phil that I've got with me here today. So Stephen, you've written for the magazine. Can you tell me about your piece?
It's about the western suburbs of Melbourne, where I grew up, and the Westgate Bridge. I think it's a pretty good piece for my first effort.
I think it's a great piece. You're a natural writer. This is your first piece that's been published. Why do you think it's important for us to have vendor voices in the magazine?
I think it gives us a good connection with our customer base, and that they see a bit more of the type of person you are.
Yeah, and Phil, why do you think it's important for us to have vendors and celebrate Vendor Week in this way?
It's just very easy and understand what vendors are about, and the big issue is called helping people help themselves. So it's an excellent magazine, and it's nothing wrong with it. So looking forward to it. So that's basically it.
And where will you be selling?
Melbourne Central, Elizabeth Street End, and then rip around the city, and then Richmond on a Saturday.
And what's your pitch, Stephen?
I'm in Carlton there, Lygon Street, Lygon Central, and across the road at Reading Sports there.
So it is Vendor Week. Celebrate our vendors, celebrate the big issue, support your vendors by supporting the big issue. It's just $7.
All right, so our friends in all over the world celebrating Vendor Week.
Yeah, we're best friends. That's Amy from The Big Issue. She's like my best friend. She doesn't know it yet, but she is my best friend.
So in that clip, we saw part of the celebration of Vendor Week was really highlighting vendors in the magazine, and not just highlighting their stories, but giving them an opportunity to write and tell their own stories. So how important is it to our editorial team to make sure that vendors have the opportunity to tell their stories and have a voice?
Oh, I mean, it's the core of our magazine. Like, we want to be about Chicago, and we want to be about our vendors, and we want to be about the marginalized in the city, and we want to be about the other nonprofits that are doing great jobs. And we want to celebrate things. You know, there's a lot of bad news in the world, and we like to have a positive spin. And I think that for the most part, our magazine takes what's going on in the world and kind of funnels it into a positive, maybe this is going on, but this is going to be a good outcome. That's kind of our goals.
What are some of the key ways that we do bring vendor voice and vendor perspective into the magazine in almost every issue of the magazine?
Oh yes, every issue contains at least one vendor story, mostly multiple, but at least one. It's got to. Otherwise, we're not fulfilling our mission of sharing the voices. But we do it in a couple of ways. We have a writers group that contributes. We have vendor profiles, almost constantly, that allow vendors to tell their stories and get their story out there. And then, not even to mention, a lot of times our cover stories and other larger stories within the magazine are also completely vendor driven. I know we're not supposed to talk about it yet, but we do have an Oscars issue coming up that is all vendor driven. It's all vendor reviews of the Oscars.
Well, and that's a really good segue into this week's issue, which is about the Olympics. And one of our writers groups and frequent contributors, A. Allen, who will talk with Dave about this week's issue.
So, 2 years ago for the Summer Olympics, we had a very great opportunity to be able to highlight members of Team USA and go behind the scenes of the Rio Games. And I don't know, we really liked it. The vendors seemed to sell it because we almost sold out. So we decided we were so happy this year when the same opportunity came again and we could highlight the Winter Olympic Games in Pyeongchang. And so it's on sale now. We had a little bit of a rough start. This winter snowstorm this weekend kind of set our sales behind a little bit. But we wanted to cover the Olympic Games because very much in the same way that #Vendor Week brought a lot of the world together last week, this is another event that is bringing a lot of people together around the world and kind of just drawing attention. And it almost feels like we're in 2 weeks of peace for a moment as far as the news goes. And so I think that it's another thing. We're celebrating these people that have worked so hard, just like we celebrated all of our vendors last week. I really feel it's the same thing.
Yeah, I feel it's the same way too because there's a lot of similarities. The similarity is that, the Olympics bring the sports and talents to the world stage. And, with us celebrating All Vendors Week globally, it's bringing the vendors to the stage. And it's sort of like giving us the chance to express our dedication, our determination, and our discipline, because vendors have to be disciplined in order to show up for work for themselves every day and to be at that spot. So I see a lot of similarities in the vendors in the Olympics. And as a matter of fact, in this issue I had wrote about how the Olympics inspire me. The Olympics inspire me in a way that I look at the world, you get a global view of the world, in the same way it was with the All Vendors Week. You look at it, you have a broader perspective, you look at the big picture instead of the little picture. And, this is a real good issue to get. If you haven't got one, please support our vendors, please support Streetwise, and go out and get you a Streetwise Olympic issue. Thank you so much for joining us at Streetwise and CAN TV, and we'll be back next week. Thank you so much.